Hello guys, it's our third video about Nest.js authentication. In today's video we are going to cover how we can just make a register and login inside Nest.js framework. We will just check it to see how it works. In the last part in API gateway we managed to add a new module called account.module or account service. From this module we actually send requests to the account.service here. So in account.service we created identity module to cache a request coming from a RabbitMQ to our service, and we actually sent the hello message, actually the incoming message from the API gateway to the view. So let me at first start the servers again. One more thing I want you to actually be careful about that. So we are going to run those projects, but we need to actually start them with hot reload feature. So in Nest.js website, in recipes section you can see hot reload. You can install this, or actually it is pre-installed in package.json. I'm going to show you now, but actually if you wanted to run it with Webpack you can install this feature, but I'm not going to install it. I don't need it because it's already pre-installed. Watching watching code command which help us to run the project as a hot reload project. So if you can watch here, there is a -- watch at the end of the start dev command. So I'm just going to run for API gateway. I'm going to run it as npm run start dev, so it will run this nest start -- watch. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to see the account, and I'm going to run npm run start dev, which is going to run the account.service again in watch mode. So it will run both services or projects, whatever, it don't matter. And I'm going to open my API.rest. So as you remember, we actually sent requests to the API gateway in port 3000 to account hello, and it comes here in account in controller hello, and it sends the request to the account service. So let me retry it. Both of the services are running. So when I run it, it returns hello from API. So hot reload will help me to actually do this. We can just we can run hello, for example, hello from from API, and it will return error. See? Okay. So if I save this again, it will try to recompile the project. So if I come down, API.rest, resend it, hello from API. So make it gate, and again, it's working. Yeah, waited. Okay, it's working. So without stopping the projects, we can actually run our command, write our code, and it is a very pretty cool feature inside the Nest.js, so it helps us to run code faster at all. So what I'm going to do, inside API gateway, I'm going to add some what they say new request that we're going to send to the account service. Both of my requests are type post. We are going to write authentication methods which contains so many requests, but we are going to just cover them. Cover two of them actually. First one is sign up. So just going to say okay, sign up, which is the post it is a post request. It can be async, it cannot be async. This is your choice. I'm just going to call it register, and it is it can, because it is not a GET request, we have to add a object called request, which is predefined object in Nest.js to actually access the body and the header. So our request contains, okay, request, it asks us, okay, let me check, cannot find name post. So first of all, we have to add missing function declaration post, update from import post comment. The post must be added after the get. Okay. So then it comes to ask us, okay, where is the request coming from? Again, REST, we can add request to this Nest.js.comment to actually recognize it. So we are going to have access to the request. This is a predefined handler, root handler parameter decorator. It extracts request object from the underlying platform, publishes decorated parameter with the value of request. So it actually led us to access to the what they say body and header and any other thing inside the request. So what does this guy is doing? It's actually in root sign up. Let us to capture the user and username and password coming from the request, and we're going to send it to a request. The function register inside account service. I'm going to copy it for sign in. This is called login. This is login. So the requests are not defined inside the service, so we get error. I'm just going to come here. And inside here I need to actually add two methods which is going to be called login and register. So it's going to be register, it's going to be login. So one more thing we just forget about here. Okay, we have rec. Okay, so we going to send not the request but actually rec.body. So I'm going to call it body. It's not receiving any parameter, because of that we get error, but we will handle it, no problem. So in both of these requests we're going to actually send the body inside the request, and if we come here we can just say, okay, it gets the command, and because the body is accepting, it can have any different kind of object type. We don't actually set a type for this command. It's just a command that we're going to send to the account.service. So here we had configured this client in the previous video, connecting to the local RabbitMQ inside the account service query. So we get the command for register. We send, okay, register, and here we send the command. Again, the same stuff. So as you see, the only thing that is different here is just the name of the command. So it's up to you to actually you can just make it dynamic request to, for example, call service and pass the command name and data inside the command. It's up to you. I don't get into it for you, but your choice. So the same stuff is happening to the account service either. So I'm just going to copy both of this inside the identity controller and paste them here. So the post parameter must return to the message pattern, and as you remember, inside the account service I called them register. So it will be register, again register, and it will come with some command, and this part will log in, and it will come inside the lake. So again, install the command. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to return the command. So I save this, the compiler detects the change, and I have to go to test. Okay, so to see if I have my code coming to the to this section or not. I mean, I'm going to test a request to see if my request is going to the account service or not. So it is a post, and if you just to go to search to REST, let's wait it to come up. Oh, sorry, inside the extensions REST. Sorry, my bad. It's going to load a REST client. Yeah. So I use this extension to send requests to server. It's not complicated. It's too easy. To test the API, you can use Postman or any other thing you want, but it's more simple for me to use, actually. So I write username, which is gonna be, for example, Mr@scientester.com, and I have a password. Sorry, my headphone is dropping down. Password, yeah, okay, that's cool. So I have a sign up method. I'm going to get down. Okay. I have a sign up method which is called post content type application slash JSON, and that's it. I mean, let me check, is there any option that we can add here? Nothing. Just one more thing that I forget about it. You have to put this guy here, I mean 3 hash, which is going to separate the requests, so the REST will understand that okay, these are 2 different requests, so the send request button was not showing itself. So when I just send a request, it actually returns the body of the request. Okay, so it says okay, inside the body we have username and the password. So it goes first to the account controller inside the API gateway, and we receive the request ingredients actually from here. I call it in body. You can use another thing called I don't know. You can just set the request.body so you actually access directly to the username password, or like me, you can add a body parameter after and access the username and password inside the body, or send it directly. So if I remove this again, I mean break that body, it will return the same result. Okay, so it comes here, the command, and I just return the command exactly, which is this, our command. Okay, so our command is called register. So we need to register our user, Mr@scientester.com, with the password 126. So registering is not a complicated thing. We have a choice to actually save this user inside a DB. So Nest.js supports some different DB or database or saving places. So let me check what we can use now. We can use Mongo's, SQLize, or Redis, whatever is the choice. I choose Mongo's. You can use SQLize or better options. I am sure that it supports other DBs like MySQL or MS SQL Server. Like here, you have to come to type ORM or micro ORM, which is actually, those are dynamic DB ORMs. So I choose the Mongo. You can choose any other ORM you like, but I'm okay with this. So inside account service, I stop the project.
again, I'm going here, I'm going to copy npm install dash save Mongos, which is not copied, I don't know why. So okay, so while it gets installed, let me check how does it works actually. So it says, okay, you have to create a called database.provider.ts. Cool, it has been changed a bit as I used before. And it says, okay, added to providers and exports. Okay, so it's not that complicated, and it asks us to create a schema, and inside the cat.providers.ts use that schema. Pretty simple. Okay, so let's do it. So come here. It's actually installed inside our account service. I don't need to add it to API.gateway because we actually don't store user or any account information inside the gateway. Gateway is just a routing that routes the request to other services. So I come here, it says, okay, database provider.ts. So I'm going to, inside identity, I will create a file called database or databases, whatever you choose. I'm going to create database.provider, so new folder. Yep. You can actually put this guy out of the module, okay? But I prefer to have any kind of data storation or something like that inside the module, so it will be module based. Okay, if I wanted to access another database in another module, I can just actually import it as a provider. Okay, I will show it now. So we go here, I just copy the whole code inside this. Okay, it's I don't know why it's just not copying. Okay, actually it's a Windows 11, I guess, problem. So it says, okay, Mongo localhost Nest. So it actually watches the Mongo DB as a default local host. You can put it inside the env, but I keep it simple here. I will show you how you can actually add environment features inside the Nest, but let's keep it simple what I'm doing. Database connection provider, Mongo's database provider, Nest. Okay, we can just call it test or whatever. It's database name. It will be database name actually. So inside again provider, we add the provider. We are going to actually add database dot module. Okay, so we added the provider. I have to add the provider to the module. So let's paste it and see what happens. Okay, we have already the provider. Database providers and export database providers here again. So as you remember, it actually goes as default. So make this like this. Okay. So database providers, it comes from database.provider, which is actually good. I identify this here. Again, I say you can put this folder out of this module. Okay, I'm just going to keep it in the identity module. This is one of my providers. You can just go here and add another provider from another DB, another another source, whatever. And we're going to next step is to add our schemas. So I'm just going to copy the schema word, and here I'm going to add a schemas. So actually a schema, as you say here, it says a model. So this is a model that we actually going to save in our database. So when we save something inside the Mongo, it will have for example here it says a cat, name, age, breed. It will be saved with this information. So you can, for example, add if for example age is required, If you save it without age, it will give error. Or if you try to save the age not as a number, for example true false, again it will receive error. So it's actually our model. So let's see how it's just saved, cat.schema.ts. So I'm just going to call our model user. You can just say an identity.schema.ts. You can call it account, you can call it whatever you like. This is your choice. I'm just going to paste it again, Mongo. So it says cat schema, which is which our models that cat schema, which is identity schema. Our user has a username. We can actually add name our user too in like a name. Go password, and it's gonna be a string. Sorry. Okay. So this is our user. This is our schema. We can add another things to our schema, either like an ID, or we can just generate a UID. The GUID, whatever you like. But still, I'm keeping it simple as possible. Okay. Now it's time to create a model provider. So inside we have a schema. We have database provider. I'm going to add our cat provider. Okay. So our schema is ready, our database is ready. For every model we create, we can just add identity model.provider. So this provider helps us without needing to change the whole data source. Okay, you can just change the data source easily, but still the provider is same thing, so it won't get error if you just change the data source, for example from Mongo to SQL Server or whatever. Okay, so this is a very helpful and open-minded feature that Nest is providing for us. Okay. So it's gonna be a schema, sorry. And so it says schemas. Okay, it has to come back. So we have to do this. Schemas. Okay, it says Nest says to actually put this item provider outside of this schema database foldering. I choose this shape of foldering. You can have your own, it's up to you. Okay, so it's a cat model. It's gonna be identity model, provide identity model, connection, identity schema, database connection, and whatever. Okay, so our identity provider is ready. And okay, so okay, I don't know about that. I go to the cat service. So our cat service is same as our identity service. Okay, so we are going to put the commands coming from the register and login message patterns directly to the identity service. So it says, okay, first you have to add a constructor. Inside the constructor, we have to add our inject, actually, as a dependency injection. You have to inject the identity model here. So import the extra things. It's gonna be identity, and it says, okay, I don't understand this. So let's come back here. It didn't understand what is cat here. Okay, so what is cat here? The interface cats. Okay, we didn't add the interface cat. We added the cat schema, but we didn't add the cat. So when you're adding a object to the database, when the request comes from the user side, we have set our schema. So
this information will be set in database. But sometimes the incoming data from the user is actually different. I mean, for example, the password we're going to send is here. Here we're sending 1 to 6, but when it needs to be saved, it has to be actually converted to a hash, okay, or salt. So to do that inside a schema, we can just set some functionality that okay, when the password comes, convert it to a hash, okay. So we don't call a method for that, it's actually predefined inside the schema. But as you see, when we send the data from the client to the server, actually we receive them as what they are. So this is doing this job, okay. So what does this interface is helping us? It's help us to actually receive the data as what they are before converting to something else, or without having extra default data that can be inside a schema but it's not here already. So I'm going to add an interface, okay, interface folder to receive the data with the type. So I didn't set type for command that's coming from here, because it can be anything, but you can add it here, it's your choice. But when I'm receiving the data inside here, I'm going to actually set interface, so it will care about what's coming from the client, so it will not give error when we're saving inside the Mongo DB, and we can actually add some validation. Okay, so interface helps us to add those. So I'm going to add a folder called interfaces. So I'm going to call this interface cat. As you see, it's called cat.ts. So I'm just going to go up and add the file called cat.ts, and which is not going to be cat, it's going to be identity. So my piece is a bit slow, I don't know why, but let's rename this to identity. And okay, I'm just going to, okay, my piece is a bit, hanging up. So interface identity, and it is read only. It says, okay, when the data is coming from the user, you cannot change it. Whatever it comes, just keep it read only. Okay. So inside identity, I'm just going to copy name, like username is ready, the password is ready, and I'm just going to cut this out. Okay, we have sorry about that. Identity interface. So if I go here, it can be, it should, okay, sorry, in my service, it says identity, which I'm going to actually import from interfaces. So the identity model, which is actually inheriting from this interface, it is a type of a model. The model must be set here. So why it didn't actually understand what is a model? I don't know. Actually, my import setting maybe has a problem, but our identity model is ready. So it uses create or find all or something like that to actually direct the call functions to the Mongo using Mongo's the Mongo DB. As you remember, we had a register and the login request. I'm just going to copy and put them here. So it is register with the command. So it has to be set as a must have a type coming from. It's again still your choice. You can just put here any, but again I'm going to adapt to the standards. So I'm going to add a folder called DTO. So what's coming from the user inside the body must actually obey the DTO validation. Okay.
So I'm going to actually create a file called. We can just use create identity DTO or DTO.ts. It's up to you. Can in Nest, as you see, they use this. For example, DTO, or they can be, for example, create identity.tto. It's up to you to choose this. But I'm going to name it like this: create identity DTO.ts. One more thing, login dot identity or directly DTO.ts. Keep it simple as you can do it. So this part, it says okay, you can add a DTO inside your code. So DTOs inside Nest has their own functionality, but it's actually a normal class which is going to export. So it's a class create identity DTO. Okay, so my Copilot actually finished the code itself, but it's helpful. It finished the code that we're going to write now. It has name, username, and password. So I'm just going to copy, and inside the login.dto, login DTO, remove it, and it has just username and password that we're going to receive from the user. I'm going to again call this guy, come here and say, okay, the data coming from or inside this command identity DTO, which is going to be, I'm going to be like use it like this because it's a type, it's a type, nothing else. So create identity DTO, which is going to inherit from this DTO class. Again, I'm going to write here the login DTO, that's going to be have login.dto, inheriting from that type. And what's the problem? Private login DTO problem from Explorer has the user private name. So let's go to login DTO. I don't see any problem here, or maybe there's a problem, or a private name login DTO. So maybe something like an identity. Let me test something like an identity.dto. Okay, it is maybe because I actually didn't create it, did I? So let me check. There's no difference here, and it should not give error. Cannot find name. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So I'm just going to save it. So come here, cannot find login DTO.ts. Okay, I figured it out. I actually thought that, okay, so when it actually imported this DTO, it would just watch the DTO, what they say, namespace. But okay, we actually had to import both of them, just written null here to not give error. So actually going to add our model inside the DB. Okay. So it receives the create identity DTO. It has, as you see, this identity model. It's going to actually new this, which is refers to here, identity model, which is referring to type to the model of the identity model. and it's just going to create an identity. It will just drag to save this guy to the Mongo, and what is returns is, so it's saving the time here. If the document is true or sends up the environment, we just modified path is new as false. So it's actually going to return the result of adding this document. So in Mongo we actually save the document or identity inside the DB, and you just save it. Okay, so we can just, for getting share, save it. Okay, save result to check actually our method is called. So it is async, as you see. So it's better to have this await, I guess, but let's see what it is a promise save, so it has to be await. Okay, so when I get it out from the return, it actually needs to have await inside it. So yeah, I just put the console result, print inside the console the save result solution. Let's see what happens when we just call this. Okay, so I run my project. Let's see what's gonna happen. It's gonna have give an error because maybe the command that we're going to send to this register inside identity service, it's gonna have a different situation that's gonna give error. Okay, so as you see, our friend here, it's gonna actually give us error. So what we can do about it? It's a very good question. It's not gonna give error because this guy has a type any, as you see here. So if the information coming from the client side is not matching these DTO typings, it will give us error. Okay, it's very easy. So we have got error. Please make sure that argument identity model at index is available in the identity module context. So inside identity module, let's see, we have what we have missing. So we have at our providers, we have a cats provider. Let's see. Okay, so as you see, there must be something that we miss. Okay, we have controller, we have our import module. Let's see. Provider, we have cat service and cat providers. So actually I didn't import the identity provider, I guess. Cats providers. Okay. So what if I change this guy's name to identity? So identity, my bad. Identity providers. I'm going to save it, will give error maybe, because now the file name change or anything like that can receive or make some errors. I'm going to actually import this guy, identity providers, and it will, okay, ask me to import this friend. So it says the type is not matching. So, sorry, my bad. I have to add it, and it's thinking now. So still there is error. So it says Nest cannot export a provider module that is not part of a currently process module identity model. So okay, it says identity model part of relevant providers. So actually I had the very interesting goof here.
So it's a provider, and I put it inside the export. Pretty clever. Okay. Yeah. So as a provider is ready here, I'm just going to open the Mongo's things. I mean, open the Mongo DB inside the GUI. You can use NoSQL Booster. Okay, sorry, NoSQL Booster, which is actually a GUI for MongoDB. You can use Studio 3T. Here is NoSQL Booster. I already actually installed the Robo 3T, which is actually let me check it out. I need to open here for you. Yeah, actually I found it. Okay, so Robo 3T. I'm actually logged inside the local. You can just manage this, manage MongoDB using this tool. It's your choice again. NoSQL Booster or Studio 3T, which is same as our friend Robo 3T, but it's the free edition. It has premium too, but your choice. I mean, to choose premium or free. Okay. So I come here to my account API gateway inside API REST, and I say, okay, sign up. So when I signed up, okay, as you see, it printed some ID, new object, which is actually our ID. So Mongo's generates automatic ID when adding our data to the database. So if I refresh, there is a database created automatically called test. Inside it, I'm going to collections, and here I'm going to identities, view documents. There is a document with starting with 625. I mean, this is our ID, but there's a problem, as you see. So if we open that guy, information says that, okay, dude, it didn't save anything. I mean, the username, password, the name. So what's the problem? First of all, I need to add our name. Call it Mr. Tester. So one of first, the problem was that we're missing sending the name. The second problem is this. So if I come to identity service inside the account service, in controller, before sending the data, we're actually sending the command. So if I just console block the command, wait to do the compile it, waiting. Okay, it's coming up soon. Okay, if I run it, there's a body, name, password. So the problem itself, it tells us, okay, dude, just send the body, because the name, username, and password and inside the body. Okay, so it won't recognize it to set it to the detail. Actually, I didn't put any validation or error handling, but I will help you for that or with that. So when I send the request again, as you see, when returning the result of our request, it actually brings these three parameters either. So if I say view document, there is two documents that has empty data. I'm just going to delete them. And there is a document that has our data clean and ready to use. Okay, I didn't hash our password, but I'm going to use passport feature inside the Nest to actually make login. So it's in that moment I will try to hash it inside the DB. Okay, so let's run our next method here at the bottom. I'm just going to write sign in. It has just password and username, which is ready to send. It just work right
I mean, when we send it, it actually returns the result of login, so it will come until here without any problem. Inside identity controller, inside account service, here we are. I'm going to write a login method. Inside here, it's just going to receive the command body. So I'm going to identity service, and this is login. So when the login DTU comes, we have to actually try to fetch our data. I mean, try to fetch our identity. So if I come here and my browser is still hanging up, I don't know why, but here it says return this.cat.find execute. It's just trying to call the find function inside the Mongo. So I'm going to let it add a let, which is actually login result. It has written the code itself. I don't believe it. So login result await this identity model, again our model connecting to the bongos. It says find one, so it will just try to find one object that is coming from the DB. So it says email to login.email. So if I come here and I say, okay, it's a username, okay, so it's not email, it's going to be username, which is going to be equal. It is actually where statement. It says, okay, find an identity which has username like the username that client sent and the password is still that client sent. This comment is like, okay, it's and, okay, it's like, you know, where username equals to A and password equals to B. Okay, it will just try to find one or first occurring result that it can actually match. So I'm going to directly return the login result. So inside the login result, it will just return the identity that we are going to try to access. So it returns this username, password, or anything like that. I'm just going to again change the signing because we actually tried to sign up again. So we have two users now. Okay, I'm just going to remove the second user and try to sign in. So when I sign in, it actually returns the data that actually is inside my Mongo DB. So if I refresh, there is not any extra data. It just fetches this information and returns to the client. Okay. By the way, I don't want to client to see this --v data. I'm just going to actually, for example, write whole user data, and I'm going to write --v and just that, which is going to fetch from these login results. Okay, so it will just omit this --v from the result data, and if I run this again, it didn't omit it. That's very funny. I'm just going to save it. It says, okay, dude, you have to be careful because property user data does not exist. Okay, that's funny. That's very funny. How we can use this? I have to just add 3 dots here, in my opinion, because it says, okay, remaining data and the data I don't want it. So it's still, the rest element must be last in the destructor. So let's go into here and place it here without any problem. It must work right now. Let it come. Okay, working, and okay. And it's funny. Okay. Why it does do it like this? This is a login result, which has our data. It returns some extra data, which is
a bit annoying, but let me think about it. So if I write it, duck, something like that, and let it recompile, it says, okay dude, I don't have this information inside of me, so I change the receiving view, and it's receiving. Yeah, that's funny. That's very, very funny. Okay, so if I separate them, it's not working like that. Let me think. Let me think what we can do. How about this? To object. Okay, so let me try it again. It's thinking, and okay, it sends the result again, but if we come back and I place it like this and call it tree user data and try to retrieve it, it will work, in my opinion. Yeah, let's see. Okay, recompiling, and it's working. Okay, we somehow managed to remove this dash b. Okay, you can't actually remove the underline from the ID either. It's your choice again, but you know, we can do with JavaScript. I just say, okay, dash is equals to this, underline ID and extra data, or we can use it here. I mean, extra data and ID equals to dash dot ID, and it says, okay, the dash guy must be here. Okay, so I'm just going to put here again to see what's the problem still. Or we can use it here, your choice, but I'm going to call this guy user data, or let's see, it says the left side comma is unused and no side effects, so it says you cannot change the data as it seems to be, but let's try it. It's a bit complicated. How about this? Let me check. Let new user data equals to this. Okay. So it will just return the new user data, and it's gonna have the ID removed. So it says the value exists in the scope for the short and either declare one or provide an initializer. Okay. It says there is some typing problem, I guess. So I come here. Let me think, because it's a bit complicated as it seems, but it's not, it shouldn't be. So I'm trying to actually cover this out. So it is actually the same things happening here. So it will remove it from this guy. Yeah. So I'm just going to return this guy. Okay. I'm just going to remove this and say ID equals to underline ID and this. That's it. The thing is still gonna have error. I don't think so. So let's try that. It's coming up, and the ID is different. So you can do it like this, either like JSON or JSON data, or you can call it clean data, whatever you choose. Here it is, and we have JSON data and JSON data. Okay. So I'm going to clean the code. So as you see, our login and register functions are working, but there are some things missing. Like, okay, you actually managed to send 2 requests. You did nothing, just register and login. How about checking, okay, your user exists before adding a user? How about when logging in, trying to return JWT results? Okay, so these are the functionalities that we're going to cover it in next video. But for now, this is what we have done for here. So see you in next video. Don't forget to subscribe or like the video to support, and see you soon.